Live from New York City, this is the real Tony Cohen, and we've got a full group from right across, actually, right across the world today. We've got people watching from all over the world. We've got a panel from all over North America on here. We're going to today do the black card exercise. We're going to go today and do a black card exercise. So I'm just going to go here. Tunde, can you hear me? Say hello to the world, Tunde.
Hello, everybody.
Where are you calling from? Is it near Minneapolis? Have I got that correct?
Yes, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yes.
Yeah. Do you ever get any snow out there?
Not really, but it's freezing. It's pretty cold today.
Is the lake froze over there?
What was that?
Is the lake frozen? Is it?
Pretty much everything. Pretty much everything's frozen.
Niagara Falls frozen today. That's pretty cold. All right, Tunde, you want to just mute yourself, and I'll come back to you. Sonia, are you there? Are you live? Are you living? Sonia, unmute.
Yes.
Talk to me. What's going on in sunny Detroit today?
Oh, we got a heat wave today. 11 degrees.
Were you out in the Speedos?
Yeah, yep.
I saw the pictures on Facebook. Right on. Sonia, I'm going to come back to you. We're on a clock here, obviously. Okay. Next, we have Mary from the hippie capital of North America. Mary, what's going on in Oregon?
Oh, we've got an early spring. My honeysuckle's blooming away. It's sunny and beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for that. For the rest of us, really appreciate that. Mary, we're going to check out Edward. No, James is up next. James is New Chicago.
Yeah, and Mary, you can keep your balmy weather. We've got you beat with a -5 right now.
James looks like he's broadcasting from Victoria's Secret changing room. So, James, when we say go, pull the curtains away. We know what to expect. Thanks for the unpaid extras you got hidden in the background. Really appreciate that one.
Gladly.
Edward, can you hear me? Edward, I think you're... Oh, there's Edward. Are you working off your phone, Edward, or off a computer? Okay, we'll come back to you, Edward. You just mute yourself. The man with the hat in British Columbia, Darren Little, what's going on up in the Rockies, man?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not in the Rockies. I'm on the West Coast, but we are pretty much out of winter here. And it's just amazing weather. I'm just totally blown away for February. I'm pretty excited about that.
Fantastic. Okay, you and Mary can talk to each other about that. The rest of us just don't want to hear it, seriously. Okay. I'll come back to you, Darren. And who else we got on here? Chad, can you hear me, brother?
Loud and clear, brother.
Where are you, man? You got the snorkel mask on today, or I can't tell if you're snorkeling or not. Where are you?
I don't. I'm down in Alabama currently, and I tell you what, it's pretty cold. It was like a high of about 40, I think, today.
Okay, there's people in Minnesota that call that summer. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I actually live in Minnesota, but I'm down in Alabama for a couple months during the winter.
Smart move, I guess. Right, we're going to come back to you, Chad. I know you're rocking it these days. And Annalisa, can you hear me out in Southern California? Are you there? 3, 2, 1. I know you're working off your phone. Maybe you can't hear. Okay, guys. So we've got a lot to cover here, and I know there's at least one person on this panel that has been through this exercise before. However, before I start, I did tell you this was a story about a guy that went from literally 0 to millions in a few years. Guys, if you haven't seen, I'm in the vortex. This is just natural light. Okay, there may be a bulb somewhere, but it's just the way the lightings work here. And the guy I'm talking about was a guy called Fraser. And Fraser came in to see me when I had a business years ago. And he was broke. And I remember he drove about an hour and a half for an interview. But he tells this story later in life, when he was doing what I was doing. And without going into too much details, I interviewed the guy, and when I said, why do you want to work with me, he said, I want to be like you. And I didn't get it. Now maybe that was a worthiness issue, maybe I didn't realize how people were looking at me back then, However, when I did this meeting and this recruiting drive, I was in my, I guess, mid-20s. I had a well, not brand new, maybe a year old at the time, top of the range Porsche, a black 928, whatever it was, S something or other, parked outside. I had the, according to Fraser, I don't remember it, but a lime green Versace suit on, a pair of flip-flops and no socks, obviously, and an orange Versace flowered shirt. So I did this thing, this mass recruiting thing, in front of about 50 guys. Fraser looked and sounded like Jim Morrison and dressed like him. So this is how he shows up for an interview. So the guy comes in, his early 20s, and he's like, dude, okay, man, why do you want to work with me? Dude, I want to be like you, man. And I went, okay, is that it? Yeah, I want to be like you, man. And you know what? There was some, I used to hire the most oddball people. I used to recruit the most oddball people if I got a good vibe about them. But he was just, he looked like he was in a place where he'd been through a bit, and he was almost like desperation. He'd driven an hour and a half for an interview. So I knew he wanted work. So generally, if a guy does that, I'll give him an opportunity. I said, okay, come in on Monday and we'll recruit you. Not going through the whole process, but what I would say about Fraser is he sat there, took loads of notes, and this is parallel to what we do in life now. This is, this is in the early 90s, so, the internet was in its infancy. I certainly didn't know anything about it or how to use it. He sat there with a pen and paper, took notes diligently. First day, went out to work, watching someone. It was all field work then. Second day, he actually somehow got himself with the most productive guy I had in the business across the whole of Canada. The most productive guy. Somehow Fraser latched onto him. So here's another thing, guys. If you find a mentor in life that's doing something really well, find a way to get hold of him in anything in life. If you want to play golf, go hang around the best golf pro in the club. So Fraser, he tells me later, bought this guy a sandwich for lunch, convinced him to buy him a sandwich for lunch, and picked his brains, and then convinced this guy Rob to let him watch him. And Rob wasn't a guy that let people watch him. He didn't like it. So I don't know what Fraser did. I found this out later in life. Fraser watched him and literally copied what Rob did. And he had a good work ethic, and he was not a fast learner, just got the hang of it. But I do remember a breakthrough for Fraser, and I've done a video about this, and it's kind of poignant. We're talking about the weather. Fraser's breakthrough day came in a Canadian winter, and he lived near a place called Kitchener-Waterloo, and they were all snowed in. So the job back then was essentially visiting people at the homes. So when it snowed in Canada, it snowed in, like nothing's going on. Nothing, okay? And again, before the internet, before anything. So Fraser, he cancelled everything. Forget work today, guys. Those whose telephone still worked, forget work today. And it was mostly landlines then. The next day, Fraser come in, and he broke a company record in the snow. And I said, what happened, Fraser? He said, well, we deal with people at home. Everyone's snowed in. He said, I put on the Sasquatch boots and the electronic gloves and the ski mask and the snorkel and 7 layers of thermals. And he said, I just, figured everyone's home. It's got to be the best day. They're all going to be bored out their brains. I go and see them, and everyone just invited me in the house. I said, so you show up in a ski mask and a snorkel with a pair of fur boots, and everyone opens the door and invites you into the house? I said, yeah, everyone invited me in. Okay. And from there, an opportunity came. We'd all won, well, all the guys had won a trip to the Bahamas, to Paradise Island for 4 days. And I wanted to go, so I had to find a stand-in to cover me, to cover recruiting and all the rest of it. And the people who wanted to do it all wanted to go on this trip. They're all qualified. And when I asked a classroom full of people, the team of about maybe 100 people who wants to do it, Fraser put his hand up and said, I'll do it. And he reminds me to this day, I actually said to him in front of everyone, I wasn't thinking about you, which is kind of hurtful. And then after a week, I didn't do it intentionally. I seriously didn't think he was up to it. After about a week, I almost swallowed humble pie, and I pulled Fraser aside and said, this was a test, Fraser, to see how you break down. But of course, I wanted you to do it in the first place, so great, you take care of the recruiting, you take care of the training, da-da-da. And he basically said, yeah, right, it was a test. You mean you can't find anyone else to do it? I said, well, whatever. So Fraser did that. Did a good job of it. And again, this is about momentum. So there's a lot of little lessons here. For me to take time off and stop the recruiting momentum, to stop the phone call momentum, to stop the training momentum, to stop all this stuff, momentum has a half-life. If you stop something for 2 days, you don't carry on where you left off. It's going to take you 2 days at least to get back to where you were. This applies to anything, whether it's going to the gym or anything. And then it's going to take you longer still to get that, get on that roll again. So I understood that, and I just wanted to keep it going. So Fraser basically watched me for a day, stood in, I came back. It wasn't entirely seamless, but it was pretty good. Then as soon as an office came available, now we're in a place called Hamilton, Ontario, which is near Niagara Falls. So Fraser used to drive an hour and a half there. And he had a VW Rabbit convertible. That's what I remember, a silver one. And an office came up, opening in Ottawa, which was probably about 10 hours drive away. And I said, listen, you can run this office, there's good money in it, you've deserved it, da-da-da-da-da. And he said, Tony, I just can't do it. He said, I've got to at least see my family once a week. And he said, the drive's just too much. Do you have anything closer? I said, I don't, Fraser. No. I said, that's all I've got. If I had, you could have it with pleasure. That's all I've got. So he carried on. He didn't gripe about it. I gave it to another guy that was willing to move. He didn't gripe. He didn't say, poor little old me. He didn't say, he didn't look for victimhood. He just got on with it. Carried on doing what he was doing. His ego didn't step in and say, well, I'm better than this. He went literally back knocking on doors and running a team. So what I did, and I saw this with him, is I created an office out of nothing in a place called St. Catharines, which was about an hour and a half from where we were. Maybe even an hour. I didn't even need an office there. I created it in a motel. So he had the motel room, and he had a meeting room in a motel, and that was his office. And he built a business out of that. Long story longer, that's how Fraser got started. And then he opened another one. And then when we went public, I dropped out and vanished. Then 6 years later, I went on Facebook for the first time. This guy, Fraser, found me within about a week. I wasn't looking to be found. He just found me. And then he messaged me, said, I need your help. I said, Fraser, I'm long retired. I don't do that stuff anymore. No, you don't understand. I'm in Texas. I've got a 3-year-old. I've got a brand new baby. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got a beautiful family. I've got 5 offices around the state of Texas. And every day I'm in a different office. And da-da-da-da-da. And I didn't quite realize how big Texas was. That meant he had to be on 2 flights a day. And I kind of felt for him. I didn't want to get involved in the business anymore. The business was going well, and I'm really pleased to see how well he progressed. And then I said, listen, I'll come over. This is what I want. Put this money in my account. I called his bluff. I didn't realize how well he'd done over the years that I was away traveling. And I said, show me how much you want me and pay for everything. He went, okay. And he stuck whatever it was, 5,000, 10,000 in my bank straight away. Now, 7, maybe 10 years before then, he borrowed $100 off me, gas money, just to go to work and get lunch for a few days. It was, Tony, I'm really, really struggling. I wouldn't ask. He'd been working with me for about a week. My dad gave me $100. I've used that. I didn't realize how much gas I'd be using. I took Rob out for lunch. So he invested that money wisely. And his dad was, I guess his dad was an entrepreneur in terms of, I think he just had a few businesses and things. So that's what his dad told him. That was a lesson, is find the best guy in the office, take him for lunch, pick his brains, and spend as much time as possible. And that is a direct translation to what we do here. We look for the best person at what we've got, and I know there's a few of you on this panel here that excel in certain things. If I wanted to know now about how to make Twitter work, I would call Chad. If I wanted to know now how to work anything technical on my back office, I know exactly who I wouldn't call. There's people that can do it better than me. So Fraser's dad gave him the money to do that. I gave him some money. He paid for my flight. He put me up in hotels for a year. It was only supposed to be 2 weeks. Fraser covered everything, but it was always about this black card. Now, I knew what American Express black cards were, but I'd never had one. I had a platinum thinking I was, king of the world. So we're in Houston, first of all. So he picks me up, we meet up, he's got a top-of-the-range AMG S-Class, whatever it is, S63. Picks me up, he says, okay, we're going, I want a steak. We're in Texas. He wants a steak. Hang on. So as we're driving around in the car, he just hits his phone down. American Express concierge. Yeah. Best place for steak right now. The guy I'm with is not dressed for dinner, and we're in this area here of Houston. What can you get? I need a table right now. Best place you've got. Okay, within seconds, over the hands-free. Okay, you need to go to da-da-da-da-da, whatever the place was, some Brazilian place. It's reserved. Walk in, straight to the front, shows the black card, straight to the table, service like you wouldn't believe. Then he does the same stunt again in Dallas about a week later. And I'm thinking, American Express concierge service. Basically, as long as you spend enough money on the card every year, they will pamper to your needs. And I know he's had last-minute helicopter flights, private jets, when planes have been cancelled, all kinds of bizarre stuff. He even told me this story one day. He had to get a driver in a monster truck to get through a storm between Houston and Dallas. That's all. And American Express found him for it. So my point here is, this is a guy who went from zero to this black card thing. But if I'd have told him initially, like many of you on this, all of us, okay, here's what's going to happen. 5 years from now, you're going to have American Express running around for you, doing everything for you, or even next year. And you're going to be late for a meeting somewhere, so you're just going to call American Express and say, you know what, get me there quick, it's 3 cities away and there's no flights. And you don't worry about it, it's done. How much do you have to spend for a black card? Now, Fraser told me, and he does exaggerate a little bit, but he told me he spends over $1 million a year on his card. He does everything through it. He spends over $1 million a year on his card. He does everything on it. So, that being said, what we're going to do today is I'm going to open you guys up one at a time. And we're going to do an exercise here. We're going to do a black card experience. Okay? So, I'm completely exposed here. There's a whole bunch of people watching this. There's you guys on the panel. I've done this in a classroom. I've never done it live on the internet. So anything could go right or wrong. So I'm completely exposed. I'm going to move out the vortex for a minute. Okay, I think people have got the message by now. I'm going to move out the vortex. And we're going to start with this. So this is a 3-stage process. I originally got this idea from Tony Robbins. Now, I was talking about this today. A good friend of mine, a guy I'm interviewing actually next week, started talking about Tony Robbins today, and I said, I've been watching Tony Robbins now for 20 or 30 years. And when I started watching him and following him, I was looked upon as a bit of a whack job. It was a preserve of whatever, in the infomercial TV days. So you had to put up with a lot of negative stuff associated. Now Tony Robbins is, his businesses are worth $5 billion and his mainstream is quite okay, but that's life. A lot of the things we do in life, a lot of the issues that some of us go through, especially because we all work together, especially with friends and family, sometimes we're almost afraid. We're almost afraid to tell people what we do. We're almost ashamed of what we do. You ever meet a guy, someone that sells life insurance? They don't tell you they sell life insurance. They call themselves a financial advisor. They sell insurance. But maybe there's some stigma attached to that. So very often things are dressed up. But in reality, okay, once we accept who we are and to go forward, nowadays, looking and watching Tony Robbins is quite mainstream and normal. Start telling the world that Darren Little is training you on quantum physics and watch what happens to people's faces then. Mary's nodding, okay? Mary's just had the breakthrough. But yeah, here's the reality. Very often we're, to be ahead of the curve, that's where everything goes on. So this is taken from Tony Robbins, and I've been a bunch of times. I'm going again in Chicago, James. I'm going in Chicago in July, and I can't get enough of stuff like that. Not just him, it's a constant quest for knowledge. So I took this and I've worked with people on it, but Fraser has been through this and taught it. So the first thing we're going to start with, and this is all recording, guys, you don't have to worry about it, it's all recorded. Watch again. The first thing we're going to start with, it's a 3-step process. In life, when we're at, we want to step, we want to get ahead, we want to have a breakthrough, we want to be in a better place than we are. Okay? Now that could be relationship-wise, spiritual-wise, physical-wise, mental-wise, financial-wise, career-wise, but we want to get into a better place than we are. And you know, I'm sure there are people out there. That will lie about it. But the reality is, we're all on this panel, and anyone that's taking the time now to watch it is on here for that reason. So to get to where we want to be, the first step is this: we have to accept the very best. Now, we've heard that before. Not the best, the absolute very best. So what do I mean by that? That's twofold. We, in life, need to do something before we reap the rewards. We have to put the effort in. We have to sow before we reap. So accepting the very best is twofold. First of all, accepting the very best in what we do. Now, I'm using the gym because that's a good parameter for some people. When we set out to get in shape or whatever we do, and we have to do 3 reps of 10 of this weight, and we do 8 and say, oh, well, it's good enough. But then that becomes a habit. Good enough. So when we have a target, let's say, I mean, one of the things we do is connect with people. We have a target of connecting with 20 people a day, just random people, just connecting, and we connect with 18, and we say, well, you know, that's good enough. That good enough is really, you know, that's kind of okay. Oh, well, I did more than yesterday. And then we can justify it and rationalize with our conscience as to why we do this. However, 20 is 20. 20 is 20. It's not 19. 20 is 20. So when we start accepting and working with that habit from within and putting that out, we no longer accept the term as a self-talk, good enough. There is doing it and there is good enough. And good enough very simply just isn't. What good enough is the minimum we can get away with without anyone noticing. Think when you're a kid and your parents told you to clean up your room. Did you clean up your room? Yeah. Is it immaculate? Yeah, you know, it's good enough. And in the back of your mind, you know that all the dirty socks are thrown under the thing. Oh, my mum won't find those. Did you clean all your plates after dinner? Yeah, it's good enough. Meaning you kind of hid them somewhere. You brush the dust under the rug. Okay, and we've all done it in different aspects of our life. Yeah, it's good enough. And it's habit forming. So the first step is twofold. When we sow, the effort we put in, the consistent effort we put into anything in life, has to be above and beyond good enough. Why? Because everyone else is doing good enough in their efforts. Hence, they're not getting enough. So if we want to get more, again, relationship-wise, mental-wise, spirit-wise, financial, career, whatever it may be, if we want to get more, we have to put it in, but we have to be willing to accept more in return. We have to be worthy of accepting more in return. And one of the terms I grew up with for years, and this is why I had 250 suits or whatever, they're ridiculous, and 100 suits, 250 shirts, and you know, all the other toys, is the terms my dad used to say, and I don't know if this is a European term or not, is that money burns a hole in your pocket. And you see this a lot with professional sports people. They come into a bunch of money very, very fast, and they can't wait to spend it. Cars, houses, blah, 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 bling, whatever it may be. So it's a case of worthiness. I've got all this, you know what, deep down, from something that someone may have said or something that's maybe happened in my life, maybe deep down I think I don't deserve it. So it's only until we do that first half of the step of putting the effort in that we can quantify the worthiness of reward. You know, I went from, and this was when I was working with Fraser actually, I went from $20 on my first week to $28,739 on my 8th week. Not overall, on my 8th week of work. I didn't feel worthy of that because I was doing more work on the week I probably made $20. Yeah, you know what? I'd found my system. I found out what worked for me, and I'd leveraged it. But that week, the week I made that money, everything went catastrophically, badly. Can't think of the word. Badly wrong. And I just carried on anyway. And that week I put in 138 hours. Now, if you say to the average person, would you work next week for 138 hours? They'll say no. The smart ones might say, how much will you pay me? Now, again, if you ask the majority out there, if I paid you $28,739 to work 138 hours next week, how many people do you think would throw a sickie? Or tell you they're too tired? Or they don't have time? Or there's something going on in their life they can't avoid? So there's the reality. When we do this stuff, that's the first step. We've got to understand if it happens to us and we're not worthy of it, we don't appreciate it. And then what I did the next week, after that week, 138 hours, the next week I worked 2 hours. I got comfortable. So that's the first step. The next step, and we're going to go into this right now because I'm mindful of the time. The next step is we need to, and this is the exercise we're going to do with you guys. I'm going to do this very, very fast with everyone and then take you through it. So accept only the very best in what we do and what we receive. The second step is raise our limiting beliefs. So I'm going to ask you all, and I just need to fire off the answers to me really quickly, one at a time. I'm going to ask you all for a few things. I'm going to ask you all, how much is an expensive suit? You're going out for dinner. How much is an expensive suit? So if you're a female and you've got a male date, how much is an expensive suit? I just want a number. If you're a male, how much is an expensive suit for you? How much is an expensive dress, including shoes, bags, accessories, the whole thing, for your partner, wife, date, whatever, whoever, okay? I'm going to ask you that. I need you to just go boom and give me an answer, okay? You can also tell me where you're getting it from. So I'm doing this as a group. I've never done it before, guys. I've never done this before, okay? And then we're going to bounce off each other. Then I want you to tell me how much is expensive dinner for two, including drinks, in your city, whether that's Minneapolis, Detroit, Portland, Chicago, wherever you are in Alabama, Chad, wherever it is. I'm going to ask you that. If I didn't get you before on the speaker, I'm going to blast through this with the people I could get. I'm going to ask you that. And then I'm going to ask you what's the best car you've been in. So you guys ready for that? Thumbs up? Yeah? James, yeah? Sunday? Right, I'm going to start with James. You had a thumb up first. James, unmute yourself.
Unmute.
How much is, if you're going out and buying a really good suit and shirt and tie, how much would you spend?
$1,000.
1,000. And for a hot date, James, how much would you treat them to?
15 to 2 for her.
Okay. And do you know where you'd go for those things?
I know for the menswear, I could go to Men's Warehouse. They carry a nice line of clothing. I bought a $500 jacket when I went up to Vancouver back in October.
Cool. And for the ladies' clothing, probably behind that
Victoria's Secret.
So you're taking your special date out for dinner for two. How much is dinner for two?
Go to a good restaurant in Chicago, I could easily spend $500 to $1,000 bucks, easy.
So we'll say 1,000. Okay. Dinner. Okay, what's the best car you've ever been in that's moving, James?
The best car I've ever been in were the Saabs.
What's the what?
The Saab.
The Saabs.
Yeah, I love them.
S.p.A. Saab. Got it. Okay, James, I'm going to ask you to move yourself. I'm going to come back to you next up. We're going to have Sonia. Sonia, talk to me fast.
All right.
So, Sonia, you're treating your dream date or your husband, I don't know the situation, the special one in your life. How much is a suit?
A good suit, 3,000.
3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for you single guys, you heard Sonia say that. Okay, Sonia, it's flagging up here. There's loads of single guys watching this.
Okay.
Might be a little So if you were going to treat yourself, Sonia, if you know what could you blow conceivably on an outfit? Dress, bag, shoes. What could you blow?
Oh, I could probably blow 2,000 to 3,000 easy.
2,000 to 3,000. And dinner for two. If someone was treating you dinner for two, how much would you expect them to spend?
In a very nice restaurant here, I would say $1,000.
1,000. Okay. So you guys that are trying to date Sonia with buying you the $3,000 suit, it's going to cost you at least 1,000 for dinner. Seems like a good deal. What's the best car you've ever been in, Sonia? Driven. Not you driven, passenger, whatever. What is it?
Oh, okay, I've never driven it, but I've been in it as a passenger, as a Bentley.
What type? Remember?
No, I just know it was four doors on it. That's all I know.
Is it a newish one?
I don't think it was brand new. It looked pretty doggone good. It was. This was about 2 years ago, and actually, it's a friend of another friend that has one, and it kind of, as I saw it coming up the street, it had the front end of like a Chrysler 300C. You know, it kind of had that.
I think it's the other way around, actually, Sonia.
Well, yes, you're right. It is. It's the other way around.
I don't think Bentley designers are saying, you know what, for 3,000, let's make this look like a Chrysler just for Sonia because she's in Detroit.
Yeah, you're correct.
So, you know, right. Nice plug for the car industry. All right, I'm going to mute yourself there, Sonia. I'm going to go to Chad. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, brother.
All righty then. Chad, okay, you don't really appear to me like a suit guy.
I have none.
You know what? I have none either. Okay,
Nice.
The charity store has all my suits. That's the charity store in Hurricane Sandy has a bunch as well. So if you're going out for dinner, it doesn't have to be a suit, but how much could you blow if you went? You know, if you're going out for dinner and if you wanted to buy a suit or you wanted to buy expensive jeans or whatever, you know, whatever suits you best, how much could you blow?
For dinner or for clothes first?
Just for clothes for yourself.
Clothes for myself. Honestly, I haven't. Like I said, I've never had a suit before. I would mostly probably focus on the shoes, but I mean, maybe $300. But if I was, I know Darren Little needs the 10K suits, you know, so maybe I could work up to that level.
Darren has the 10K hats, man. Have you not seen them on everything? You know, if you take the hat off, Chad, if you take the hat off, it's gold leaf inside it. You never showed you that hat? Not the gold leaf hats, man? Well, you say 300. How many? I mean, you're in Alabama now, okay? You in like in a city or in the countryside?
I'm in a suburb of Montgomery, and where I live in Minnesota is a city of like, you know, 60K, 70K. So nothing too big.
Well, in a nice way, you're gonna struggle for like an Armani store to find jeans or something like that, I guess.
There's no Armani stores within 1,000 miles of there. No, just kidding, but.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. How old are you, Chad? By the way, 'cause that also makes a difference.
just turned 29. But my
29.
style, yeah, my style is a little different. I mean, I like the golf style clothes and some fresh Nikes.
How much on a pair of Nikes?
About 100.
Okay.
But
So let me ask you this, Chad. Let me ask you this, because I'm mindful of the time as well. And I don't want to get sued by Nike for plugging something, whatever. You got a hot date, okay? I don't know your relationship situation. It's none of my business. You got a hot date, and you wanted to treat her. How much would you blow on a hot date on clothing? So here, this is my treat to you. How much you conceivably think you could blow? Dress, shoes, whatever suits your particular thing. You might be a guy that doesn't like the idea of ladies in Louboutins and Oscar dresses. I don't know. So in your own mind.
I mean, as far as my experience, I have not, I haven't blown a lot of money on a girl before. I've been, but I mean, it just depends. I mean, for the right girl, I could see doing, 500 a K, but that would take a lot of effort from her first. You know what I'm saying?
500. And dinner for two, Chad? Good dinner for two? How much?
Dinner for two. So now this definitely varies on the city. Since I've been in college, I've always been working in restaurants, and I've actually have never. I worked in probably the last job I had was in a Thai restaurant, one of the more high-end places in my city, and nobody has even came close to spending $500 in there. I mean,
if we say
so it definitely depends on the city.
If we say 500 is the
So
top,
what?
that makes sense.
500 top end, $100, per person.
Just quickly, Chad. Okay, what's the best car you've ever been in? That's moving.
Best car I've ever been in. As I've been thinking about this since you said it, and I would probably say a yellow Corvette.
Yellow,
just like a classic one.
What year do you know?
I don't know. It was my grandpa's car.
Like an old one, proper classic one.
Yeah,
Cool.
A classic one, drop top.
Cool. Okay, we're gonna come back to you. Just one very quick thing I did notice, Chad. You said you spend 500 on treating a lady, a girl. Aren't you the guy that's making $3,000 a day? Just putting it out there, buddy. Putting it out there. I'll come back to you and let you ponder that one. All right, I get it. All right, next up is who can we have next? Tunde, you're up. Unmute yourself.
Alrighty.
Tunde, very, very quickly, what could you blow on a suit and a shirt and shoes and whatever? You're going out for dinner, what could you blow?
Alright, from personal experience, I'll say around from 300 to 500.
Okay. And again, I don't know your own personal situation, so whether you're married or in a relationship or not, so I don't, no offense is meant. Say again?
I'm married. I'm married.
You're married?
Yes, sir.
So if you were to treat your wife to, an outfit, a dress, a shoes, a bag, the whole thing, what conceivably would you, I'm going to be very, very diplomatic here in case she's watching, Sunday, okay? What do you spend on her,
Between the range of 500 to 1,000, around that.
Okay. Cool. How old are you, by the way, Sunday?
32.
32. Okay. So, dinner for two. Last time you took your wife out for a real good dinner, what sort of money could you blow? How much could you spend?
About 250, 300.
Okay. Yeah. There's no right or wrong answers in any of this, because a lot of it is
right.
demographic, a lot of it, is all different. What's the best car you've ever driven in, whether it's driven or been a passenger?
Has to be a Audi A8.
An A8?
Yeah.
They're a cool car. I like the AA. Okay, cool. We're going to come back to you, Tunde.
All right, sounds good.
Keep yourself off. Mary, are you still with us in Oregon? I know the...
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, not on any of that Oregon special tobacco, I guess.
No.
The stuff you grow up in the hills there. So, Mary, you've got a hot date, Mary. It's Mary's hot date night. Tomorrow night, Mary's hot date night. Okay, and you want to treat this guy. You want to buy him some new clothes because he's not dressed right. And it doesn't matter. I know you, I know today you made $3,000 or yesterday you made I don't know. I can't even keep track. But, Mary, how much would you blow on the hot date? Just the clothing.
Well, that depends. Okay, 1,000 tops.
Okay.
Tops.
Just because Sonia said she'd spend $3,000, it doesn't matter that you only want to spend $1,000. Don't feel bad about that at all. So how much could you spend on yourself, Mary? You're going to treat yourself. You know what? You might not have done it for a while. You want to go out and you want to do the dress thing. You know, there's got to be some great stores in Portland. You know, the shoes, the bag, whatever. You know, whatever your thing is. How much could you blow? You've got the black card. How much could you blow? One outfit, one night. How much?
I think you could blow 1,000 easy.
1,000 easy. Okay.
Yeah.
And for dinner for two, how much could you blow?
Probably about 5 to 1,000, depending on where you went.
So, guys watching this, guys, you know, I'm sure Mary and Sonia's phone number are somewhere on the tag for this video. Just saying. Mary, what's the best car you've ever driven in, whether you've driven it or been a passenger?
BMW?
What sort, you know?
I have no clue.
Big one, little one, convertible, two-door, four-door?
Been in the SUV and the car.
The car.
A car.
Okay.
I don't know what model.
The SUVs are all called X something.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a big one. Okay.
Just a
And the other
Beamer.
cars are called car in Oregon, apparently. Okay? All right, we're going to come back to you, Mary. So,
Okay.
guys, if you've got a pen and paper, just mindful of what you're saying. In fact, I'll run this through with you. Doesn't matter. I'm last up, live from British Columbia, Darren Little. You're on the hot seat.
Hey.
So, Darren, I know you like the clothes, man. I know you like to look sharp. You got to look sharp. We know that story. It's going to the car dealership and looking sharp, man. Looking sharp with the blazer, with the shiny buttons, the whole thing. I've heard that story. How much? Right. Last time we spoke about Harry Rosen, so I remember from my time in Toronto. So you're going out and you're going to treat yourself to whether it's a suit or whatever it is. You're going out for dinner. How much would you spend?
Probably about $3,000 for the suit. The shoes would be close to 1,000, maybe 900. Girls' outfit would be 2,500, and the car, as far as the car goes, this last year I took a Ferrari FF supercar out for a test drive, and also the McLaren MP4 12C Spider. I took that out for a test drive. They're both around the same price. They're about $410,000.
Yeah, I was looking. That's the four-wheel drive Ferrari, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got three of them in. They've got 3 of them in. 2014s in the dealership. So
yeah, just an amazing car, that FF supercar, man. Unbelievable.
So we've got the supercar and we've got the McLaren, which is the one that I can't remember all the numbers from, but I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, dinner for 2?
Dinner for 2. You know, if you have champagne in there, probably be about 1,500 or to 1,800. If you take that out, then you know maybe $600-700.
So we say 1,000 in the medium.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to run through this with you guys, and Darren, just stay on the line because you are tonight's lucky guinea pig.
Okay.
Okay. Don't look too happy about that. Again, I've never done this on a panel. I've done it in a live room. So I'm just going to run through this, and I want you to get this in your mind that I've got everything right. So starting with Tunde, we had spending 500 on a suit, and just think about where you get that from, Tunde, where you live. A dress for your wife, $1,000. Dinner for two, where you live. You must have a place in mind. $250. And the A8 is the best car you've been in. Sonia, you got your numbers down there. Mary, with the $1,000 BMW car, whichever BMW that one is. Sonia's in the Bentley designed to look like the Chrysler, apparently. And Chad's in the yellow Corvette. So here's the deal, guys.
Did we get Annalisa?
Annalisa is, I just got a message, she's in her car, so she's actually doing this. She's actually doing this on the go. So if you can do this, Annalisa, that's fine. Unmute yourself now. If not, you're on it anyway, so you can still do the exercise. 3, 2, 1. She's driving. I don't want her to be responsible for having a crash. She just messaged me in the car. So the exercise, guys, very simple. You win the tournament. We have a little tournament tonight. Whoever put the most effort into this live hangout wins the prize. And your prize for tonight is Tunde. You're getting $500 worth of clothes for yourself. The treat for your wife is a $1,000 outfit. The treat is on me, on the black card, out for dinner, $250 at that place you like to go. Just nod your head in a second, Tunde. Do you know what you prefer to eat in that place when you go? What your choice meals are? Just nod.
Oh.
Okay. It's all right. You can talk. You got an idea?
I mean, mainly seafood, lobster, steak.
You have it. You know what it's like, yeah? So we're going to have the A8 pick you up. We're going to have the A8 pick you up and take for dinner, okay? So, Sonia, you've got the $3,000 suit for your hot date. That lucky fella. Or maybe, you know what, I'm going to bury myself if you're married here, I don't know. You're going to treat yourself to a $3,000 outfit. Okay, dinner for two on me, $1,000. Do you have a place in mind? Do you know where you go? Do you know what you would like to eat?
Yes, it would be a seafood place.
Seafood. So you and Tunde are on the seafood deal.
Yeah, I love seafood.
Excellent. Okay. So, and we're gonna have. Oh, Sonia's got the Bentley deal going on. Okay. So you're going to dinner in the Bentley. And James, $1,000 suit, hot date, $2,000 dress. James, I'm sure you've got an idea. And
I do a friend. I'll let you finish.
Say again?
So I'll let you finish your sentence before I respond.
Okay, it's on a time delay. You're going out for dinner on me, you got $1,000 to blow on dinner. You know where you can blow it.
A French restaurant in Chicago.
Okay, you've got a place in mind, you know what you like, you know what you taste, you know what it tastes like.
I know which one I like. I'd see if they're still around. Otherwise, I would find a comparable substitute.
Okay. Right, who's up next? Chad is getting the clothes he likes. I'm guessing it's not a suit, but I'm sure there's some Nikes in there somewhere. His date is treating her with the $500 or so of clothes, and he's going out for dinner. $500 to spend on money on dinner on me with the hot date, Chad. Do you know where you'd go for dinner? Have you got an idea in your mind of where you go and what you have and what you eat?
Well, if it was my choice, I would go to a high-end pizza pub with a lot of dank beers on tap.
Ooh. And you know what, Chad? Here's the thing. It is your choice, and what suits you may not suit anyone else. The whole concept of me putting a suit on for dinner, I'd rather be in that pizza joint with you, a high-end pizza joint, doing that. That's me. You know, so we've all got our own thing. It's not just one person doing this. Okay? Exactly. So that's cool. And Chad's in the yellow Corvette. Wow.
Well, I
Right.
wouldn't be in a yellow Corvette. I would actually be in a white Ferrari 458 Spider.
Let me guess. Red interior and black rims.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, man.
How did I know that?
I don't know. Maybe you're tapped into my vision.
I am indeed. You know what? I saw that and posted it the other week. And the white one with the red interior and the black rims is just
Yep.
like, whoop.
That's it.
Yeah, red interior, white on red. Got it. Okay, we're gonna put Darren through the ringer here, but I want you guys to play along. You guys that are watching, you can play along exactly as you wish, because this isn't a game. This is a reality. So everything I've just said to you as individuals, we're going to go through this. But before we do this, I'm really going to stretch Darren out here. I'm going to really put Darren through the ringer. Really put Darren through the ringer. Because Darren, if I've got this right, Darren, and I'm sure I have, you are a guy that's earned multiple millions of dollars in a year, correct?
Yep.
Yep. So the concept of spending $3,000 on a suit and $1,000 on shoes is a reality, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So we spoke about this last time, Darren. Now, and I said to you, what's the most you could blow on a suit? Because I know you're a suit guy, mainly. If you're going out for dinner, what's the most you could blow? And since we did this exercise, I was doing some digging around in my stuff, in my subconscious, and I know what the most I have, and I will use the term blown, because I ended up giving it all to charity, and it was like suits and clothes for me became chasing the next high. It was like you go from $500 to $1,000, and I used to be a suit guy, to $1,000 and and I kind of reached the high that, okay, now what do I do? So what, to put this in perspective, what's the most that you could spend conceivably that you've seen a suit? You've got in a store in Vancouver, which is an expensive place. The most you could spend on a suit?
The most I've ever spent on a suit was at Harry Rosen, and it was about just under $4,000.
Okay. And what's the most expensive suits they have there?
Probably right around that, Canali,
Okay.
and a couple of their brands are, there's not much in there over $4,000.
But there's stores in Vancouver you could spend more than that conceivably if you wanted
Maybe
to.
Volt Renfrew, but if you're spending more than that, it's most likely going to be actually custom tailored, and still, I don't really see it going over, 5,000, 5,500. I haven't really seen anything over that amount.
Here's my experience, and I'm mindful of the time, but here's my experience is when you get, Xenia used to be the exclusive, and
But even Xenia, there's Xenia stores here in Vancouver. They're not over 5,000.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When they are exclusive, what tends to happen? Because I used to be the big Yoshi Yamamoto guy, and I was looking at this, and the most expensive suits I bought were 10,000. But then in reality, that was in pounds. So it was like $15,000. But that was 20 years ago. They don't cost that now. So the very exclusive stuff, when it becomes more mainstream as a brand, tends to just become a little bit more affordable. Yeah. So that's my personal experience with the dress thing. Again, so you said what did we say? $2,500 on a dress, and shoes. I have no idea how much ladies' shoes are, but 4 figures for sure. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Yep. And dinner, you said about 1,000. What? Incidentally, just going back onto the dress and the shoes and the bag and the whole thing. Again, it's not a sphere I'm well conversed in, or well versed in, I should say. What if a lady had a black card and wanted to just buy one outfit for the night for the Oscars or something? What could she conceivably spend in Vancouver?
With if she got a Louis Vuitton bag and stuff like that, easily over $10,000, easy, 10, 12, 13,000.
Okay, so we'll say 12,000.
She went to Holt Renfrew. She could easily drop 12 grand on one outfit.
Okay.
But the bag is a significant portion of that, right?
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, that sort of stuff's expensive. Incidentally, these scruffy-looking T-shirts that I wear, the only place they're available in Canada is in Holt Renfrew. So I'm still on that hippie gig thing that I'm on. Dinner, we said about, what did we say, $1,000 if you went absolutely, you know. I mean, I realize there's only so much we can eat. So once it gets to a certain point, then it becomes a question of how much do you want to spend on wine or champagne or whatever it may be. And you said about, you know, $1,200 for dinner or something like that. Conceivably, if you went over the top, someone else's black card, could you find a way to blow $5,000?
You'd have to be drinking like a lot of Dom Perignon in the night to get up to that level.
But it's someone else's black card, and they give you carte blanche on it. Could you do it?
Oh, sure. As long as there was a limo picking us up, we weren't driving.
Don't worry about the driving. It's we want to be sure it's a reality. Again, since we last spoke, dinner is something I do know how much it costs. And I remember my ex-business partner and I were in, very, very briefly, in Paradise Island, Bahamas. Incidentally, on the trip I was just saying about where Fraser missed out on it. And we were at the Atlantis there, and the Atlantis is rated as having the best lobster in the world. So, you know, consequently, I ate the lobster there, and every time I've eaten lobster since I've left there, I've complained about it. How do you guys eat this crap? This is dreadful. It might be the best lobster in wherever, but compared to that, it was different. But at one point, we had a little table full of bottles of wine while we were waiting for dinner, myself and Tim, my business partner, and for some reason, we kept ordering more bottles of wine. Even though we weren't even drinking it all, we got this thing in case it runs out. We're in the Bahamas, and the floor was full of bottles of wine, and we got the tab for dinner for two, and it was something like $18,000. For two people for dinner, which it was nuts, but you know, it was a vacation, we were having fun, and it was on the black card, so it was just like a lunatic. I mean, one of those days you remember, kind of. So what we're going to do, guys, is put yourself in the place here. You may want to do this with your eyes closed, okay? With your eyes closed. So I'm going to put down through it, and I want you to use your places, your names, your taste, your feel. So you won the big prize for tonight. Close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. You won the prize for tonight. And you won dinner for two. You won the prize for tonight because of how well you did on this panel. How enthusiastic you were on this panel. How worthy you are of the prize. You won the prize, and the prize is you're going to go out, you're going to buy the clothing of your choice for the amount you said. So whether that's 500 or 3,000 or 1,000 or you know, whatever it may be, you're going to go to that store that you know that you've been in. You might have walked past it going, I don't belong in that store, I can't afford to go in that store. Tomorrow is the day you get to go in there with my black card and just spend it. And no one's watching. You've got one outfit. You can spend what you want. It doesn't matter. You won the outfit. There's not a limit on it. You've won it. And you've got your date, your wife, your partner with you. Before you treat yourself, you treat them. So whether that's spending, you know, 1,000 or 2,000, whether it's guys that you're putting in a suit or some really good jeans so they look great in them, or, you know, ladies trying on the Louboutins, the Blahniks, the Louis Vuitton bags, the whole thing, the outfits. It's like Oscar night. It's like Oscar night in Minneapolis. It's Oscar night in Detroit. It's Oscar night in Portland, Oregon. It's Oscar night in Chicago. It's Oscar night in Alabama. It's Oscar night in Vancouver tonight. You've got this. You're going out for dinner. You waltz into the restaurant. You've got reservations. But before you get there, we have the limo pick you up. Drops you outside. You go in there, you've got reservations, you're seated down, the waiter gives you the menu, and you look at that menu and you decide what you want. You're going to have an appetizer. Before you do, you're going to have some drinks. Okay, and you can have anything you want, so just think what you want to start the meal. If you want a glass of champagne, if you want a bottle of champagne, it doesn't matter. If you want, whatever you want. If you want a margarita, whatever you want. If you want an organic beer, whatever you want, you can have whatever. If you want a bottle of Perrier, you can have that, whatever you want. And you're going to order the appetizer. And if that appetizer is seafood, if it's vegetarian, if it's a meat appetizer, if it's sweet, if it's spicy, if it's soft, if it's tasty, its texture, it's crunchy, you can taste it, you can feel it in your mouth. You can't get enough of that appetizer because appetizers are appetizers there to give you an appetite, and they always taste so good. You feel like you can eat a whole dish full of appetizers. Forgetting the main course, I want more appetizers. So they bring you more. But because you've won the tournament, you can fit them in, and you've decided to have 2 appetizers. And not only have you had the shrimp, but you've had a meat one, and you've had a veggie one, you've had the whole thing. And all of a sudden, your main course comes, and you've got, whether it's the lobster or the seafood, the trout, the bass, the steak, the lamb, the chicken in the sauce, the veggies, the asparagus, the salad, the broccoli, tomatoes, potatoes, whether they're roasted, dauphinoise, French fries, whatever you want is there. If you don't want a potatoes, you want rice, you want pasta, any of that stuff is all there. And you taste it and savor it. But because you've eaten so many appetizers, you can't even finish it. But that's fine. You're just savoring it. It's not a race. You've got hours. No one's after your table. You're in there on the black card. No one wants anything. And you're savoring it. The drink comes. They take the plates away. And they say, would you like to see the dessert menu? And you have the 2 little things on your shoulder. You have the one saying, don't eat dessert, don't eat dessert, you'll gain 5 pounds. And on the other shoulders, the other one saying, don't listen to them, look what's on the dessert menu. And it's on someone's black card, and it doesn't matter if the desserts are $10, $20, $50, but you've got to try the creme brulee here. You've got to try the profiteroles. The ice cream here will just knock you right out of the park. You've got to try this stuff. Yeah, but it might put 2 pounds on you. So what? Eat it anyway. And you have all that with your date. And after it, you look at your date. You both know you've had a great night out. The car's waiting for you outside. You leave the restaurant. You get in the car. The car takes you home. And you can safely say you've had a good night. But you look at your date and you ask them, how was it for you? Darren, what do you think your date would say?
Amazing.
You think your date would be happy?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Mary's already got the glow. She's already thinking about the date, the after date. Yeah, absolutely, because it's just not just about us. People talk about the law of attraction, but when we get someone that's on the same wavelength as us, and we get someone that gets it, we get more satisfaction. I got more satisfaction out of knowing Fraser pulled in $5 million a year. I got more satisfaction out of going to Fraser's house and seeing, the top of the range Mercedes, seeing the beautiful wife, the great kids, the fact that he had a great lifestyle. A stable family guy. He's the second biggest collector of Johnny Cash memorabilia on the planet. This is a guy that borrowed gas money off me. I got more pleasure from seeing what he was doing and how he was enjoying his life than anything else. So, the lesson here is It's about the other person. So, Darren, that's tonight. And tomorrow morning I ask you, how was it for you? I know your date had a great time. How was it for you, Darren?
Extremely fulfilling and massive gratitude.
You're welcome. However, and there's always the however, I made a mistake. You have to take those clothes back to Harry Rosen's. You have to explain to your date. She's got to take that stuff back. But don't worry, I've got a cover story for you. I've got the perfect cover story. The dinner you've at, we can't do anything about it. But I did make a mistake. The prize you won wasn't for tomorrow night. What I absolutely need you to do is this. I've got you 2 red carpet tickets for the Oscars. Because you've made your date take the clothes back, I want you to take the same date with you. So here's what we're going to do. You can't show up at the Oscars with a $3,000 suit on. They'll throw you out. Unless you're Johnny Depp and you can show up in your underwear and no one cares, you know? They'll throw you out. So where can you go right now? What can you... In fact, you know what, better still? I know a guy. I know this guy in Hong Kong. A tailor in Hong Kong. Who will fly... He will fly private jet into Vancouver. You're going to need about an hour to get measured, an hour for a first fitting, and you'll get your suit later on. Can I have him fly in and measure you up for a suit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's expensive. He's a good guy, but he is expensive. This is $20,000 worth of suit, just so you know. But how often do we get a red carpet ticket for the Oscars? Now, he only does men's stuff. Is there somewhere in Vancouver, I'm going to get a concierge shopper to go with your date. Is there somewhere in Vancouver she could get an Oscar outfit that would get her photographed on the red carpet? Is there somewhere in Vancouver that sells them?
Probably be Holt Renfrew.
Holt Renfrew, okay. So what sort of money? If she was, you know, this is the Oscars. This is the Oscars. You've got to go a little bit better than everyone else. You want to get photographed, you've got to go better. Okay? How much, if you said to her, okay, here's your limit. Here's your limit. Here's the black card limit. But the only catch is whatever you buy, it's got to be good enough to get you photographed on the red carpet at the Oscars. How much could she blow?
15 grand.
15? Okay. What about jewelry?
Now you're talking like a...
That's thrown you a curveball, hasn't it? I know you're a watch guy. What's your favorite watch?
I don't know, Breitling, Rolex. You know, there's one really cool watch that's that I really like. That's it's about $250,000, but it's got a roulette. The backside's a roulette with a spinner that goes around it, and it actually plays blackjack. You hit a button, and it's got a dealer on one side and the other thing. It's about $250,000.
What make is that? I've never even seen it.
I can't remember the
these things where they only make about 10 of them?
Yeah, it's high end. It's really high end.
Okay, got it. Right, and you're going to go to the Oscars. There's no limit on the price of dinner because it's included. What is your all-time favorite appetizer when it's done right?
there's a place in Vancouver called Chiapino's that makes these little miniature, almost like Cornish game hens done a specific way as an appetizer. They're just amazing.
Wow. That's a new one on me. I'm going to ask you that one in private. And what's your favourite main course?
Probably, I'd say I'd go with probably a rack of lamb.
Me too. I love lamb. I love lamb. With what? Roast potatoes? What's your preference?
Probably asparagus and you know, yeah, potatoes or something. Yeah.
Okay. Potatoes or something. Is that what you order when you go to a restaurant? Give me asparagus and potatoes or something.
Yeah. Sometimes they got some sort of rice combo, you know, that goes.
Okay. Do you have a favorite way of having potatoes?
Mostly just kind of just steamed.
Steamed? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite dessert?
Creme brulee.
I think we had this creme brulee conversation. I did a 30-day creme brulee challenge around Texas. That went well. Right. So here we go, guys. I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes, Mary. I can see you. Mary, close your eyes. Sunday, close your eyes. Everyone close your eyes. You are going to hand back the clothes you won in the contest. Because I've got some better news for you. Everyone is going to the Oscars. We've got our own table. Right near the front. We've got our own table. Now, there's no direct flights to the Oscars. So here's what we're going to do. Whether you're in Minneapolis, Alabama, Detroit, Portland, Chicago, Vancouver, you are going to have the tailor fly in and put the $20,000 worth of gents' clothing together. This is the Oscars. You can't show up in the men's warehouse. You'll get spotted. Ladies, you're going to have the concierge shopper take you out. And you absolutely have to get photographed on the red carpet. So that's all I want in your brain. Close your eyes. That's all I want in your brain. What would it take for you to get photographed on the red carpet clothing-wise? Now, you can't have the ladies' clothing without the jewelry. And we're not going to Discount Daisy's 99-cent store for the jewelry. Okay? We got to get photographed. So you got to have the jewelry that looks good for the photograph. Guys, you need the watch. Now, whether that's a Rolex, a Breitling, something very, very specific, an Omega. I used to always wear Omegas, the James Bond watch. Whatever it is, you've got to have the watch. Doesn't even matter what time it is. You just got to have the watch. You're going to get photographed. You've got all that. You're waiting at home. The Rolls Royce Phantom that you weren't expecting pulls outside your home. You're with your date. The guy comes to your front door. He doesn't wait for you to come down. He comes to your front door. He walks you and your date down. He opens the doors. He's got the black suit on, the white silk gloves. It's the black Rolls Royce Phantom. Long wheelbase. You get in the back. He fires it up. And if you've never been in a Rolls Royce Phantom, it's like being in a jet. He fires it up and nails it straight to your local airport. Straight onto the runway. Onto the tarmac. No messing about with baggage checks and all that stuff that normal people do. There's a private Learjet there. You've got to go to the Oscars. You're not flying economy. You get in the Learjet, it's just you and your date and the cabin crew. Strap in. 3, 2, 1. Take off. You hear the turbines firing up, that noise you're used to. You've been in a plane, you know what it feels like. You feel the vibration, and you feel like the plane's about to start moving, and slowly it starts moving and starts moving and starts moving, and you hold your date's hand, and all of a sudden, boom, right in the back, take off. You're up there, swoops round. You know that G-force you get when the plane takes off and it swoops round, and you're climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing, and you're heading towards the Oscars. You're heading towards Hollywood. It stabilizes out. The cabin crew asks you if you'd like a glass of champagne, or if there's anything at all you'd like. You're fine. You know it's only a short flight. You're in a Learjet. These things move it. Glass of chill champagne. You just sat there savoring the moment, listening to the music. The cabin crew are just there if you need them. And all of a sudden, before you know it, you feel yourself descending. And you look down and you can see LA. And you're doing a descent into LAX, and you can see the lights. It's nighttime. You have no idea where you're going. You just know you're going to the Oscars with your date. You're landing in LAX, swooping down. You're not waiting for civilian stuff. Boom, boom. Landed, taxi. And the car that picks you up is identical to the guy at the other end. A black Rolls Royce Phantom with a guy driving with a black suit, white gloves, the doors are open, gets you in the car, woomph. You hit the freeway, there's no traffic, they move out the way. When you're in your car like that, everyone just moves out your way. Why? They don't want to have an accident with $500,000 worth of car. They move out your way. Forget the speed limits, this is Oscar night. Your driver is taking you there, straight to the Oscars. There's a small queue of vehicles, but you know they all look like yours. They're all black Rolls Royces with drivers. And in front of you, you see Brad and Angelina get out. And you're up next. And they're taking pictures, as they would, of Brad and Angelina. And you're next on the red carpet with your date. And the cameras move to you. Just feel how you'd be stood, how you'd be breathing. Feel it. You know what you're wearing. You know you're on the red carpet. You know you're at the Oscars. And you know people are noticing you. And you don't walk down the red carpet, you float down the red carpet. There's nothing to be said because you are speechless. You wander in, you find your table near the front, and everyone else on this panel is at that table with their dates. And you guys just can't believe it. How we ended up here. I thought I was the one that won the contest. I thought I was the one that won. You won too. How many guys won this thing? Well, you know what? The fact that you stepped up and got on the panel, you already won, and that's your prize. And you guys just have the best time. So, you know, the meal comes out, whatever your favorite appetizer is. So Darren's is the Cornish hen. Just can't get enough of it. Whatever your favorite appetizer is, remember that taste, remember that texture. Remember what it feels like on your tongue. Remember what it feels like going down. and you just can't get enough of it. You're savoring it. And you guys are having a great time, and the champagne's flowing, and then your main course comes out. And Darren's on the rack of lamb, and you're on your favorite stuff, and that lamb, that chicken, that steak, that lobster, the best one you ever had in your life. Remember how good it was? Remember how it fell off the bone? Remember what it tasted like when it got in your mouth? Remember the texture? Remember if it was fish, it just crumbled in your mouth? It was steak, the knife just like butter cut through it. The taste, the texture of the vegetables, the soft against the crunchy, the sweet against the tart, the potatoes, the rice, the pasta. Just savor that. It's not a race. You've got plenty of time. You're eating as they're giving out the awards. And everyone you've seen in the movies is walking past you wondering, who are these guys sat at the front? And Denzel wanders past. And Daniel Craig wanders past. And everyone just wanders past. And Tom Cruise wanders past. And they all think the same thing. Who are these guys? They look good. Man, they look like they're having a good time. They don't care. They're not up for winning the Oscars. They're just here having a good time. And then the desserts come out. And there's creme brulees, and there's ice cream, and there's profiteroles, and there's everything you could imagine on that dessert tray from around the world. Save those. If you've had one of those life-changing desserts, it's right there, it's right in front of you, and you just don't care what the world thinks. You don't care that the world's media is there. You don't care that the Hollywood A-listers are there. No one cares, because you know what? They're all looking at you and your date going, who are these guys? I wish I was like these guys. I wish I was one of them. I wish I knew who these guys were. I want to be like these guys. They look like they're having so much fun. And you watch the rest of the Oscars and you drink and you have a good time and you meet a few of these people and they come over and say, you know, Tom Cruise comes and shakes your hand and says, who are you guys? Brad and Angelina stop by and say, who are you guys? And your date is looking at you saying, who are you? And the night winds down. You've got the villas at the Beverly Wilshire. Your driver's still outside and one Rolls Royce at a time. They take you out. We go to the Beverly Wilshire. You've got your own bungalow. And your party carries on with your hot date for the night. And everything you need is just the push button on the phone away. If you want to eat more, if you want music, if you want champagne, if you want a hot tub, if you want the pool, if you want to just walk around the grounds and savor it, if you want a helicopter ride, if you the Rolls Royce is on call for you while you're there, you can go out cruising, you can do whatever you want. You look at your date, there's no words necessary. The two of you just gaze into each other's eyes, and there's no words necessary. At that moment, you connect on a much deeper level. And it's not about the money, it's about the experience. You both fall asleep in each other's arms. You wake up to breakfast being served outside in the beautiful sunshine. Fresh juice, fresh fruit, anything you want. You savor the moment. Your driver's still outside. You decide to go for a drive round, take in the ocean, up the west coast a little bit, back down, just really savor Southern California. You go for lunch by the ocean, just sat by the ocean, on a deck, watching life go by with your date, watching people go by, watching people who are looking at you saying, who are these people? I wish I lived like that. And then you decide, you know, we need to just get back to home. Get back in the Rolls Royce, back to LAX. Your Learjet is still on the tarmac. One's going to Minnesota, one's going to Detroit, one's going to Portland, one's going to Chicago, one's going to Alabama, and one is going to Vancouver, Canada. You get in the jet, straight on the tarmac. No checking bags. No, can I see your ticket, sir? No, can you go through the TSA and check your luggage now? None of that. Just straight in, buckle up, and boom, gone. You feel it climbing and banking and coming round. You can feel the G-force as it's spinning around and taking off and turning the right direction. You can feel your pin to your seat, your back's pinned to the backrest, you're holding on, your date's got hold of your arm, and you level out above the clouds, and the cabin crew comes round and says, would you like some champagne? Hey, why not? A couple of hours later, you land back in Minnesota. You land back in Detroit. You land back in Portland, Oregon. You land back in Chicago. You land back in Alabama. You land back in Vancouver. The guy in the Rolls Royce is there waiting for you on the tarmac. There's no check-in, there's no customs, there's none of that stuff. Your car is waiting. He's got the white gloves on and the black Rolls Royce. You get in the car. Takes you home. You're with your hot date still. You sit down in your own kitchen, just having a regular coffee with your date. Darren Little, what would your date say?
It was exquisite.
Exquisite?
Mm-hmm.
That's a word. Sonia, how's that experience for you?
That was wonderful. I had a good time. A really good time.
Mary's still got the grin on her face. Look at Mary's face. Mary's still there. James is still at the Oscars, I think. Sunday's still grinning. We can't see it, but we know. I can feel it. Guys, when we raise our limiting beliefs, anything is possible. All those things we just did, correct me if I'm wrong, were humanly possible. Everything on that. We didn't teleport. We didn't go to Venus. It was very specifically humanly possible. It can be done. So before we wrap this, I've got one more little bit of news for you. You're there with your hot date, and you get a knock on the door. You're just savoring the moment. You're all feeling on that high. You get a knock on the door, and guess who's there? Me. And I say, you know, Sunday, I made a mistake. The $20,000 suit, you've got to take it back. But you can keep that $500 suit because it's my mistake. And I'll treat you to dinner, you and your partner tonight. Go blow $250 on dinner. Sonia, I made a mistake. You got to take all that jewelry back. And the dress. I'm sorry about this, but you know what? Go get yourself a dress. Spend $1,000 on me. It was my mistake. And I'll treat you and your partner for dinner tonight. I'll have a cab pick you up. Mary, I'm sorry. You've got to tell your hot date that he's got to take his suit back. But take him for dinner tonight. You know, go spend a couple of $100. Go have a few beers. I'll have a cab pick you up. James, this may upset your hot date. I've got some news for you. You're going to have to break it to her because I'm not going to do it. She needs to give the $10,000 dress back, but tell her you'll buy her one for $1,000 to keep her happy, and take her for dinner tonight somewhere in Chicago. And the same for Chad. But whatever I give you now, you can keep. So someone's going to come, give you some, you know, the clothes from the first trip before the Oscars, for both of you. Going to have a cab pick you up and go blow a few $100 on dinner. How does that feel? I'm looking at your faces there. All the way through that, Sonia was going, no. Mary was going, no. Tunde's grin has gone off his face. James has aged 5 years. As soon as I said explain to your date, she has to give the dress back. So here's the reality, guys. In life, Darren and I did one of these exercises 6 weeks ago. There's been 400 people watch that when we did it as a one-on-one. But here's the reality, okay? Fraser did this exercise numerous times and taught it. If Fraser would have come in that training class, broke, in his beat-up old VW convertible, he drove an hour and a half with literally no gas in the tank. And I said, by the way, Fraser, you know, 7 or 8 years from now, you're actually going to be in the States earning $5 million a year. Fraser wouldn't have even come back to listen to me. He would have thought I was full of shit. But it's not until we understand this principle of it's a constant. And this is not necessarily about money, it's about an experience. So when we raise our limiting beliefs, what was our belief before? Now, whether that is a $500 earning day, we'll look at numbers specifically, whether that is a $1,000 earning day, whether that is a $3,000 earning day, because I know there's a bunch of people on here who've done that. This year, there's a bunch of people on here that have done that. Before Christmas, you might have thought, well, that's the exclusive hangout of certain people. They can do that. Until we shift our limiting beliefs that, you know what, I've done a $3,000 day. I can do that. I've already done it. I've already done it. I can do that. The 4-minute mile was impossible. Doctors, medics said if you ran a mile in less than 4 minutes, it's just physically impossible. A man would die. Your lungs would implode. It's not possible. And Dr. Roger Bannister figured it out. If he could run a quarter mile in a minute, just a fraction under, it was mathematically possible. So what he did is he got someone to pace him every quarter mile. He got someone that could run a quarter mile in under a minute to pace with him every quarter mile. And he broke it by fractions of a second. For 20, 30, 40, 50 years, people have been trying to break the 4-minute mile. Within a year, after him doing it, about 30 other people did it. Why? Because it's been done. $3,000 days have been done. Are there people on the planet that have earned $9,000 a day? Yeah. Loads of them. You know, my guess is you sat with at least 2 right now. Is it possible? Yeah. Is that a lot of money? I don't know. You know, if Bill Gates earned $9,000 today, he would be severely pissed, I can assure you. If LeBron earned $9,000 today, he would be pissed. If Angelina Jolie earned $9,000 today, she wouldn't be happy. Why? They've already done that. So this is what we've just done. We've just done that. So to play the black card game, we need the black card income. But to get the black card income, we can't do it with a 99-cent mentality. And this is for anyone watching this. So we have to run ourselves through experiences. And I know Darren spoke about this the other week. I know, Darren, how often do you go to the exotic car dealership?
About every week to 10 days.
Okay, I'm about the same. You know, Mary, I know you went around through some beautiful homes the other week. So the experience is what makes the perception the reality. I can sit and look at Rob Report all day long. I can go on the internet and look at pictures all day long, but I can't. They're just pictures. I can't feel it. I can't taste it. I can't smell it. I don't know what the seat feels like in a $10 million apartment till I go there and sit in it. I don't know what the steering wheel feels like on the Ferrari with the grip there and the thumb shifters till I sit in it. I don't know how well that seat fits me till I sit in it. So these experiences that we've just done here, if you're on this live or watching this, go do it. Now, if you think, well, I'll never get to the Oscars, you know, I never see empty seats in the Oscars. That means there's people get to the Oscars all the time and go to the Oscars all the time. I'd never be able to get in a private jet. Why? I don't know. There's private jets flying around right now. There's private jets in the local airports too right now. Yeah, for the rich people. Are they? Okay, that's easy. There's trillions of dollars flying around every day. When we feel worthy of it and when we get this, and when we get the experiences before the income, then it becomes a reality. Our perception becomes a reality. So we've done accept only the very best. Now we just did that with shopping and dinner. And you probably had an idea of your date or your wife, husband, in your eyes. Accept only the very best. We did raise our limiting beliefs. We did a private jet flight to the Oscars. However, and this is a big however, you cannot do any of this stuff, until you make a shift. Now, I realize there's people in the world that work regular jobs for regular income. I also realize there's people in the world that try and live their dreams through, let's say, what is it, X Factor, or what there's a bunch of these programs, isn't there, like talent type shows, and it's sort of one in millions, or certainly thousands, that might get a sniff of it and be a one-hit wonder, and there's one in so many that might get it. And unless you're supremely talented, I've got news for most people watching this, you ain't that one. Because if you were, you'd probably be discovered by now. Doesn't matter where you hide it. There's lots of stories about people in the middle of nowhere getting discovered. So unless you're supremely talented, now be that as a basketball player, be that as an actor, be that as a singer, whatever it may be, as a model, someone will have seen you. So what do regular people like us do? Regular people like us that want those experiences and decide, no more. From now on, from this moment on, enough of this good enough stuff. I'm just not having it anymore. I'm just not having it anymore. I have made a decision. I am going forward with this, and I am making it work. And you know, lead, follow, or get out of the way. If my family don't like it, I'm doing it anyway. If my friends don't like it, it becomes their problem, not mine. If I'm worried about what the neighbors think, are your neighbors' lives perfect, or do they have a regular type life? Have your neighbors been to the Oscars? Do your neighbors travel by private jet? Do your family? Do your friends? Guys, I talk about the circle of five a lot. There's 9 of us on this panel right now. To do this, the first 2 steps, you could be the best ditch digger in the world. But to get ahead in life, you need to step up to be a ditch digging supervisor. You need to step up to be the owner of the ditch digging company. You need to step up and be the best at that to be the construction guy. You need to step up to be owning the construction company. You need to step up. But all that tough stuff can take a lifetime. And I know stories, and I've worked with guys who are like that. But the beautiful thing is this: anyone can take that step today. So what's the third step? First one: accept only the very best in what you give and what you receive. Step 2, we've just done: raise your limiting beliefs. And if none of that's working, what you got to do is change your strategy. And I know everyone on this panel right now that I'm looking at has changed their strategy. You are in control. So when you master step 1, not good enough. The very best. And then we live and breathe and taste and feel step 2. Guess what? You've already done step 3. There's only 2 more to do. And one of them you just did on this call. So guys, you're already there. So I'm going to wind this down, guys. So Tunde, talk to me. I want to thank you so much for participating from sunny Minneapolis. We've got the smile back on your face yet?
Yes.
Have you got over the shock of giving the suit back?
Yes, I'm over it.
Okay. Sonia.
It was a great experience.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, Sonia's still smiling. She's still got the thought of whoever that date was she had. You're still in the mind.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about the Oscars and all the food and the drink and the clothes and all of us sitting around the table just having a good time. All of us.
Okay. You know what? Are you allowed to dance on the tables at the Oscars?
I suppose I could do whatever I want.
There you go. That's the answer. Mary is speechless. I bet Mary can't even speak.
Oh, I can speak just fine.
You've got the glow, Mary. You've got the glow.
Hey, I already decided I'm just going to cover the cost. Why give it back when I can cover the cost?
Okay.
Wow. All right.
There to be done. I will send you the invoice.
Send me the bill.
All on the black card, Mary. It's all on the black card. James. Are you still
Yes.
Okay, I hope your hot date wasn't watching this and saw your face when you asked to give the dress back.
I think she would be quite fine.
Would she? Okay. Get her watching, my friend. Chad, are you still with us?
I am here.
Wonderful. How are you, my friend? Are you still in the bar working your way down the organic beers there?
Not quite. I'm back at home relaxing.
Good. Annalisa, can you hear me? Or are you still in the ice cream parlor, gym, car, wherever you are? Nope, still on silent. Darren Little. I know.
I am here, Matt.
When you go in these places, the last one I had to wake you up from, I think. The last one. Listen, guys, thank you so much for being part of this. Totally exposed, naked, not physically naked, transparent in front of the world. Guys, that was the Black Card Experience live from New York City. And if you want a Black Card Experience in reality, get in touch with someone on this panel or whoever connected you to this. This is the real Tony Cohen from New York City. Checking out. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Woo! Thanks, Tony.
Hooray! Woo!